Welcome to the Buddy and Shane Show.
Hello and welcome to the, what's it called?
What is it, Buddy and Shane Show,
The
mate?
Buddy and Shane Show, coming to you from the beautiful Gold Coast. The sun's shining, although Gold Coast have been knocked out of the finals. The Brisbane Lions are standing strong. They're the best team in Queensland. And, we're down to the prelims, so cannot wait for that. It's been awesome, the finals, especially when your team's in the finals, bud.
I think it helps, doesn't it, when your team's
A few
in
of your teams have been in.
They are, mate. Brisbane are in there and the Hawks. But no, what a weekend of football, Croft, wasn't it? It was so good. I think watching Hawthorn win that game, obviously going over to Adelaide, getting the job done, was pretty impressive. So that was a real pleasure to watch. And then Brisbane versus Gold Coast, their biggest clash in the history of both clubs in Queensland. So that was a really big game. And Brisbane
said, don't get ahead of yourself. We'll show you what you got.
They turned it on, didn't they, big time?
Their midfield.
It just showed that every time you sort of question Brisbane, which I have a couple of times, they come out the next week and fire back. So well done to Brisbane.
I want to have a quick chat about Stephen King getting the job at Melbourne, and also what's going on with the Bombers. Zach Merrett, there's been a lot of talk about him meeting with Hawthorn during the week. Sam Mitchell, Jordan Ridley, Draper, Laverde has said that, hey, can we look at something else? So there's a bit happening at Essendon. Everyone's not happy, and when you're not winning, you're always a bit disgruntled. But you can turn things around pretty quickly. But there's some big decisions. They're leaders, and they want to move on.
I think it looks pretty similar to Carlton, doesn't it? Really, a lot of their good players want to leave the club, which you're probably asking a few questions. Why is that happening? I think with Merrett obviously being the captain of that football club, it's a pretty big thing to be going having meetings with an opposition club.
It'd be a tough decision, wouldn't it?
It would be. So obviously something's happened. He wants out. He's obviously not happy and disgruntled. And Hawthorn have pounced. So fingers crossed they can get it done, Croft. Be nice to get him to the Hawks.
Well, Brad Scott said he's not going anywhere. But I'm not sure about that, especially if you're not turning up to a best and fairest, which is what they're saying might happen. And that's obviously a player who's very unhappy. A few years ago, he signed long-term, but I think when he signed long-term, he was told this is where it's going to get to and this is what's going to happen. And he's obviously thinking, I don't have that long to go. I want to go somewhere where I can win some games of footy. And he's obviously decided that Hawthorn is the best fit. And I think he'd be a great fit at Hawthorn, not trying to be biased, but he's exactly what Hawthorn needs, someone who can kick, someone who can zip through the middle. He'd be perfect in there, especially now.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me is it's different if he didn't have a contract. He obviously worked through the contract last year, whenever it was, got the contract, he signed up. Now he wants out. I think as a player, if you're playing for Essendon and your captain's doing that, you'd be pretty pissed off, I think. There's no doubt about that. So, it's big decisions for Essendon to make here. Do they tell him to walk and go to Hawthorn or go to another club? That's up for them to make that decision, but it's a big one. It's a big one for the club.
And they'll get a really good deal out of it. They'll get a couple of really low picks and they're going to be players, if they get them right, they're going to be players who are going to play the next 10, 15 years, So you're getting players who are going to be hopefully really good players. It's just whether or not you're brave enough to head in that direction. And what about his manager? Because you've been in this situation before too, because when you went off to Sydney, your manager was the same manager as the coach, Alistair Clarkson, wasn't it, Pickering?
Pickering, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's in a similar position. So Brad Scott's manager is the manager of Zach Merrett's. So surely it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
The manager's in a really tough situation here because he's trying to do the best thing by his client, but then, hang on, the coach is going, what on earth's going on? So you probably need to find a different management, either as a coach or a player.
But I think if your captain's saying, I want out, and being genuine and meeting with an opposition club, for me, I'd be like, well, if you want to leave. If that's your captain doing it, there's no point having someone that doesn't want to be there. And I think what sort of message does that send to the other playing group? We're just going to keep him around, but he doesn't want to be here. I think, as I said before, it's a really big decision what Essendon do. But if it was me, I'd probably just say, out you get.
Yeah, and that seems like what they're doing at the moment, because sometimes you can shake hands and go, okay, we've decided to go in a different direction, we'll find a way, but we need a very good deal, otherwise we're not doing it. But in this case, it just seems like No, we're not going to turn up to the best and fairest. We want out. There's no other situation here. We can't bring it back together. And interesting times. He will be a very good player at the Hawks if he can get there. But then the Bombers are going to get something out of it. Stephen King, the new coach of the Melbourne Football Club, which was a little bit of a surprise, but he's had 30 years of experience as a player and a coach. He was at the Bulldogs when they won. He was at Geelong over the last few years. Great system. He helped Gold Coast, took over the reins there to finish off when one of the coaches was moved on. Can't remember which coach, but anyway, there's been a few. So, you know, I like everyone was saying, oh, geez, they acted pretty quickly and made a decision, too quickly. But if you know, you know. If he's the one to move forward, you can get on with planning the rest of this year and, you know, how the team's going to look. You can start those discussions. So well done to Stephen King. I'm not sure if you've come across him much.
I haven't. But look, he's done a good apprenticeship, hasn't he? Worked under Beveridge and then at Scott. So pretty much two of the best coaches of the last 10 to 15 years to work under them is awesome. And I think he's going to have some really good ideas going forward for Melbourne. They definitely need some strong leadership there, and I'm sure that he'll provide that.
I did actually catch up with Nathan Buckley last week, name dropping, and
that's unlike you, actually.
He was
never seen that.
He was fantastic when we were talking about Melbourne. He said, "Look, there's just a few things I just want to get my head across. I want to coach. I'm a coach. I want to coach AFL footy." But that was obviously an issue for Melbourne because he was still trying to work out the pieces and how it all might unfold, and they'd obviously decided, no, we want to get going on this. And he had Tasmania bubbling along in the background, and they'd obviously decided, you know what, no, we know what we want. This is how we're going to go about it. But I don't know about taking on Tasmania as a job. My advice to Nathan Buckley is I would not take on Tasmania. I just think it's going to be...
It's a big job.
It's going to be hard yards early. I think when you bring young kids from a city who are, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, you take them to, which is a big country town, Hobart, I think they'll be okay initially for the first year or two, but then I think they'll be wanting to get out again. Tasmania is a great place to visit. It's very beautiful everywhere you go, but to live, I don't think it's going to be stimulating enough for young kids who especially have come out of a big city. And as a coach, I think you're going to be fighting that. You're going to be fighting a team that's probably going to struggle and lose. So my advice to Nathan Buckley is I would not put my hand up to coach Tasmania. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. I love Tasmania.
It's a beautiful part of the world.
It is a beautiful part of the world, but I think just wait until the right opportunity comes where you can really sink your teeth into a team that's ready to do something. Hawthorn, 34-point win over the Crows, Adelaide Oval. They were awesome right from the very first bounce. Do you know what I loved about the very first bounce? Is Sicily flipped the coin. I think he won the toss. I think he did. I might be wrong. I do get things wrong here. But what I loved from his captaincy, he walked away and then he walked back towards the umpire after flipping the coin. And I could only see the back of his head, but he had a quick conversation with the umpire. And I have no doubt in my mind he went to the umpire and said, can you please keep an eye on Jai Newcomb being held around the stoppages?
Yeah.
And the very first bounce, what happened? Whistle, Jai Newcomb held, free kick. Great captaincy, but, gee, they started well and took the crowd out early and away they went.
Incredible, wasn't it? Really, as I said before, I think for them to go over there and get the job done against a team that ended up top of the table, they've gone out straight sets, was an incredible way. I think Newcomb really got them going from the start. 11 touches, just on fire. That's what you need by your good players, really step up there. It's a contested side of the game, really. You've got to be on from the get-go, and I think he really set the scene for them. I thought Gunston was incredible again. What a year that he's having. He's kicked over 70 goals, Croft, for a 33-year-old.
Well, he played on Keane, who's had a wonderful year, but I think they got it wrong. So I'm not sure if it was Sam Mitchell's coaching or Nix's coaching, but it was the wrong matchup because you got an Irishman playing on one of the smartest footballers in the league. And I'm not having a go at an Irishman, but this guy is a step ahead of everyone, the way he moves and the way he does things. So I'm not sure if Mitchell said, hey, I want you to go and play on Keane and, I want you to be accountable for him because he's really good at intercepting. But
I agree with you. It was a wrong matchup, for sure. It was too easy.
I'm not sure who's created that matchup.
I thought it was too easy. At times, it looked like a bit of a training drill at times. He was getting easy little lead-ups and just...
Well, he was wanting to watch the ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think you can do that on Jack.
Yeah.
Because Jack just pops out into green spaces.
Yeah.
And the ball comes to him. Newcomb, everyone's going, why don't they tag him? But Berry went to him early and was trying to tag him. He's just one of those players. He initiates contact and then he just creates space in front of him and just charges through.
I thought Little Wiz was awesome too, Croft. I think he had 6 shots. Imagine he kicks them. There's 4 or 5 in a big final, which would have been incredible. But he's just made for finals, isn't he? He just makes things happen. He can do stuff that not many players can do. And as I said, he's made for finals, and I'm sure he'll kick a few more this weekend or the weekend after. So
I loved Butler's game. He delivered the drinks. Do you like that? The Butler delivering the drinks. No, but his tackling was, I think he had 10-ish tackles, and his pressure was enormous. So you get your opportunity. You've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and he was, waiting all year, gets an opportunity, and then just grabs it. So I thought it was a really even performance, and the back line for Hawthorn was like a brick wall.
Yeah.
The way they spoiled the ball was like they were trying to put their fists through a brick wall, and it was just a very good team performance. Adelaide haven't won a quarter for the whole final series. They've come a long, long way this year, Adelaide. From 15th to 1st, which is a great effort, but obviously there's still a few moving parts they need to work on. Their midfield for me was always a little bit of a worry, especially if Dawson can be clamped a little bit. So back to the drawing board. They need to work on their midfield, but there were a lot of positives with them this year. They really found some players and they really made some good improvement.
They certainly did. I think they had an awesome year, but in the end, the only thing that matters is finals, isn't it, Crawford? To win no quarters out of the 8, they'd look at that and go, that's pretty disappointing considering all the work they had done throughout the year.
2 home finals.
They can't win a quarter. Pretty much just there for you to rock up and play well. But I don't know. I think they just probably got outworked, out-hunted. I think that's the big thing. I think when the pressure was at its hottest, that Hawks really put them to the sword and Adelaide weren't able to respond. So I think that's pretty much what the game was really in the end. I think they just wanted a little bit more and Adelaide are on the back foot and just couldn't get their game up and running. And I think Adelaide's talls really struggled again. I think Thilthorpe did well, kicked the 3 goals, but the others sort of did struggle at times. So, they did a lot right this year, but in the end of the day, it's finals that matter. So they'll be disappointed the way they finished up.
And they'll learn a lot, I'm sure. So this will only make them stronger moving forward. I reckon also Adelaide, they played a bit like Carlton halfway through the year where they were slow and wide, and that's when I knew they weren't going to win the game.
Yeah.
It was the second quarter and a little bit of the third. They just weren't prepared to take the risk. And there's nothing wrong with taking risks. Even if you make a few mistakes, it can really spread the zones. But anyway, I'm sure they'll bounce back. Brisbane, 53 points. It's a huge margin. The Lions were back to their very best. Dunkley had a world record 18 tackles. Geez, he's been a wonderful player since coming from the Bulldogs. And he's just a team player. He just goes to work. He clamps down if he needs to. He puts his body on the line. You got to remember there's no Lachie Neale, so Ashcroft really had to stand up, and he did. Rayner was like a raging bull.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Gold Coast started on fire. The first few goals, King was up and about. Their ball movement was fast and furious. But they found a way to steady the Brisbane Lions. Hugh McCluggage.
No one went to him. Look what happened.
I know, and that's what Damien Hardwick does. He really backs his team in. But, yeah, McCluggage got off the chain. First 5 minutes of the game, you go, well, we don't need to worry about him because we're kicking goals. But
I think this game showed you a team that's been in multiple prelims, multiple grand finals, sort of looked men against boys at stages of that game. Gold Coast would probably look back on that and go, we got absolutely hammered around the ball, which they did. But no, I think Dunkley for me really set the game up. Have 18 tackles You probably had 2 or 3 in a game max, and I was probably 4 or 5. But
I was a pressure player, man. I was putting pressure on so we could win the ball back.
No, but
wasn't always
reckon,
one way.
like that really set the scene, didn't it, for the game? And I think that's after their loss against Geelong the week before, you knew they were going to come out with that pressure and that intensity. And I think when you get leaders doing that, everything sort of flows from there. I thought what Will Ashcroft's done this year, obviously winning the Norm Smith last year, he's gone on with this again, Croft, and to have another final, 28 touches, 2 goals, so he's an incredible little player, isn't he?
He's just phenomenal to watch. And you could see him just he's going in 3rd gear right now. He steps it up when he needs to. When they played the big teams, he'd step it up to 4th or 5th gear. Composure, skill level, enormous.
Never fumbles.
No, he's so good. But they were awesome. It was a very good team performance. And you called it early. The big O will come into the side, and he did, you know, because Witts still was getting his hands on the ball, but it was a good call from you because a lot of people were thinking they'd just keep sticking with Fort, which they did, but the big O came in and, you know, he seems like he's going to stay in there as well.
Yeah, I think they need him back in the team. But I want to go back to that Rayner. What an incredible final that was. He obviously had a little bit of drama last week with the free kick, so people were at him all week, and then he comes out and delivers one of the great finals performances.
Just got aggressive at the ball.
50-50 ball, goes straight through with it, breaks a tackle, bangs it in. It's just things like that. You know when a team's on from the start, when you're beelining the ball, going straight through and just taking opponents with you, it's pretty impressive to watch.
It's goal from the middle. It's 80 metres.
Yeah.
It's an 80-metre goal.
And you can see why it's the number one pick, Crawl.
You kicked a 75-metre goal. I kicked a goal similar to Rayner's from about the same spot.
20.
No, it was 80. It was at the Wacker back in the day when we played at the Wacker.
50s, is it?
Against the West Coast Eagles. The Suns. Hey, the Suns, what a great year. You know, they've ticked a lot of boxes, obviously to make the finals, to win a final, but, you know, there's still a lot of work to do, especially when Rao and Anderson can't have the influence that they want. They need others to stand up. King, as soon as Andrews went and clamped him after he kicked a few early, he was non-existent. So they've got to find ways to fight, you know, especially when they're up against it, and stay in the game and keep the scoreboard ticking over.
Yeah, and I think that's something he probably needs to work on, King, throughout periods of yes, he can start well, have a good quarter here or there, and then he sort of drops off. I think that's a thing he'll be looking at next year, is get a little bit more consistent throughout games. But, you know, I think Suns, like he may need a little bit of help up there. You know, Curno's maybe on the market, so do they look at getting him to the club for a little bit of like a helping hand for King? Because
is it true that he's going to live with you?
He can come live in the back house if he wants. But, you know, I think it is. Like sometimes as a key forward, when you're up there by yourself, it can, when the opposition know that the ball's going to you pretty much every time, and that's what happens sometimes with Gold Coast.
Yep.
I think, do they look to get someone else in to help him out? I know they've got a couple of young kids coming through still, like Reed and...
I reckon Reed's going to be a good player. Yeah. And Walters, I like Walters. He's obviously not in the team at the moment, but he's a bash and crash type of player, and I think he can definitely develop into a top liner. So, no, it was a very good year by the Suns. Disappointing way to go out, but that's life. You move on. You're listening to the Buddy and Shane Show for AIA Australia, a life, health and wellbeing insurer with a commitment to helping Australians lead healthier, longer, better lives.
What time? What is it?
What time is it?
What is it? The Kia Tasman Player of the Week. Are we up to that?
Right. It is time for...
Yes, come on, mate.
It is time for...
Buddy's Young Star of the Week for the Kia Tasman. Here now.
Who we got here? We got Mr. Butler, Sam Butler from the Hawks.
Oh, good selection. Yes.
No, he's done really well, Croft. Obviously, coming off his big broken leg last year, to bounce back, get back in the team, and have a performance like that in a final was incredible, wasn't it? 15 touches, 5 marks, 5 score involvements. He's a great little mover, isn't he? He moves really well, gets to the contest, gets in really good spots, and is dangerous. He kicked 2 crucial goals on the weekend, which was really important for the match.
He did. You know, obviously goals are super important, but I loved his team focus. You know, the tackles and the pressure, and you know he was just getting a hand in there. He was just doing everything you want, especially from a young player when they come in. And you know, he had a horrific broken leg a few years ago. He's been able to work his way back. He's out of contract actually,
Yep.
and I know West Coast have been sniffing around, but hopefully he loves the Hawks and he wants to stay at the Hawks. But well done. Buddy's Young Star of the Week, thanks to the Kia Tasman, the most Australian Kia ever developed. It's built tough. It's tested hard, like me, no one harder, and ready for anything. Whether you're hauling, towing, or taking the road less travelled, the Tasman is made for the job. The Kia Tasman, it's here now.
It is.
How's your Kia going? Good? It's
really
What have you
really
been
good.
putting in the back?
What have I got? My surfboard, Mel, basketballs, running shoes. Got everything, mate.
Basketballs. I have been witnessing you in your basketball, and I think you're more aggressive at basketball than you were at football.
Well, mate.
You're knocking them over. I'm like, oh, surely that's a
Too much,
foul.
do you reckon, for Divvy
And then
3?
the umpires, they suck up your backside. They
No,
love
they
Buddy.
don't,
Oh, no, that was a foul against not against Buddy. That was a blocking foul. I'm like, bullshit. Get
They
him
know,
out.
mate. They know.
Oh, that was a good one, bud. I like that. Very good. And I'll tell you what, have you been working out?
A few push-ups here and there, mate.
Yeah, very good. Make sure you tune in on Thursday because we will tell you exactly who's going to win on the weekend. We will review the Brisbane Collingwood match and also the Hawthorn Geelong match. We're going to tell you who's going to win, who's going to match up on who, and what's going to happen. Nostradamus.
Goal of the year,
And then, yes, we're going to do goal of the year,
mark of the year,
mark of the year, and all those other stuffs.
and what Brownlow's Monday.
No, Brownlow Monday, but we'll have a pod coming out Monday and we'll tell you all about the Brownlow on Monday.
This is going to be awesome.
And we'll throw in everything there, Monday mashup. So stay tuned. But Thursday, do not miss Thursday's match or pod or VOD, and we'll tell you what's going on and how it's going to unfold for the weekend. And then we're going to head to the final, the grand final, which you know all about, and it's going to be awesome. All the best.
Thanks, Barry.